what are your thoughts on gain-of-function research? Are you a big fan?
A huge fan.
Huge fan of gain-of-function?
Can I give you a very, very mild hot take here on gain-of-function research?
Mildly hot.
Mildly hot. It's not sizzling.
Okay.
It's not overheat. It's not going to burn the roof of your mouth. It's not going to be one of those situations that you're going to be like, oh gosh, the roof of my mouth, it feels all like just the skin is coming off. It's not that type of take.
Okay.
It's a mildly hot take. First of all, gain-of-function research should be banned. So that's I'm going to tell you right now, it's not any hotter than that. But secondarily, I think I'm the only person left that could theoretically see a benefit to it. Like I thought,
it's a mildly hot take.
If we were responsible as a species, right,
which we're not,
if governments were competent,
and they're
not, they're not, if all these things existed, you could paint me a picture in which actually you get a lot of good out of gain-of-function research, trying to figure out, hey, okay, you make a disease a little bit more applicable to humans, that it could be spread, and then try to cure it. If it was in the perfect circumstance, sure. You could see why getting ahead of something like that might be beneficial. Guess what? We don't live in that perfect circumstance.
It just never happens.
It never happens.
The problem.
And by the way, we've talked a lot about this. This is 2025 now. The gain-of-function thing really should have been shut down completely in 2020. At the very latest. That being said, it's not. I mean, we're just hearing about this from Trump, which is the executive order.
Yeah, he banned it yesterday.
He banned what? He can't ban it. Here's the thing. Donald Trump can't ban gain-of-function research because a lot of it's done in China.
Well, yeah.
It's got nothing. Now, but he can ban funding it. He can ban it happening in American. Well, there's some limitations, obviously, to executive orders, but he can ban and target it here in the United States from happening. He can ban our funding that research. But like President Xi doesn't listen to Donald Trump's bans.
Since when, though? Is that a new thing?
He's been really consistent on that front. Yeah, he doesn't seem to care at all about what we say.
All right.
Up to and including, hey, can you guys tell us if you release a virus that's going to kill millions of people? They don't even tell us that.
No, they did not. And they still... I just saw a thing last week where they were still blaming us and claiming that we're trying to pin the blame on them. Yeah. I think the entire world knows it came from the Wuhan lab. I think that's pretty clear by now.
Pretty clear now. I mean, even the left has settled in on that here in America. Now, of course, they are going to deny it to the end of time.
Yeah.
Because they have no pressure to give the truth to anybody at any time.
Never do.
No,
never do.
They don't.
So I think this is a decent step in the right direction. Let's stop it here. Let's stop it where we can. Let's not fund it anywhere on the planet.
Necessary and entirely behind schedule. Not because of Donald Trump's fault, by the way. This is something that should have been done in the Biden administration at the very latest. But the fact that he has to, it's almost insulting to all of us that this still has to happen. Did you see RFK Jr. was talking about it? We have that on clip 4.
Okay.
RFK Jr. talking about gain-of-function research, kind of making a relatively cogent point.
In 2014, 3 of those bugs escaped from U.S. labs, and President Obama declared a moratorium on future use, and instead a lot of that research was moved offshore to the Wuhan lab. It launched bioweapons arms race all around the country, all around the world, so that China's engaged in it, developing all kinds of weapons using AI and CRISPR technologies that are really devastating. Russia is deeply engaged in it, Iran and many other countries. It's a kind of weapon that always has blowback. There's always bad news. And the justification for this kind of weaponry and these kind of research was always that we have to do this, develop vaccines to counter a future pandemic. In all of the history of gain-of-function research, we can't point to a single good thing that's come from it. And today, I commend President Trump for his courage and his vision in ending U.S. bioweapons research.
Wow. You can't point to a single good thing that's come from it.
I mean, bioweapons research not really something that we
not
should
super
be
successful.
Playing around with.
Yeah.
I think if you want to make the argument against this, is the research is going to happen probably, and if you say we're not going to do it in the U.S. borders, you have no control over it. Where if it happens here, maybe you do. I understand that argument. It's not compelling to me, though. I think it's true at some level that this research is going to continue in places like Wuhan, in BSL-2 type laboratories that cannot handle it under any circumstances. I mean, I am really skeptical of it at the highest levels of security, but they're at places where like they should be handling, the lowest level disease, like, hey, how do we cure the sniffles? Like that, they're in that type of labs.
Yeah,
those types of labs doing gain of function research on bat diseases we don't understand, and that's been going on the entire time. We just haven't had another one of these big outbreaks, but like, it is around the corner at some point. This is not a problem that is over. Do you think, Pat?
No. I mean, we're told all the time to prepare for the next pandemic. It's almost like, I mean, they talk about it so much, you almost think, well, are you preparing the next pandemic to release on us? Is that how you know that one's just around the corner?
I mean, we do know, though, that these things happen. They do. They happen with or without government research. They happen. This is part of life as a human being, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that at the Wuhan lab they released COVID-19 on purpose.
No, I don't think so.
I think they screwed up and it got out and they didn't want to admit it.
It's not completely out of the question.
No, it's not for the Chinese especially.
With the Chinese, I don't think that's what happened, though. I mean, it certainly deserves an investigation, or deserved. I think we've seen, I've read a few books on this over the years, and they looked pretty closely into this. You never will know.
Yeah.
Virus by Alina Chan and Matt Ridley is a good one to look at how the real scientific evidence behind how this came out. Their conclusion was largely that it came from the lab unintentionally. And when you say unintentionally, that means like, oh gosh, this thing happened to them. Well, I mean, that's not exactly what we're saying either. What we're saying is they were doing risky research in a lab that was not prepared for it in a totally discredited way. And that wound up leading to a release that they didn't try to infect their people with, but was egregious when it comes to just the recklessness of the situation. And the evidence does point back to that lab pretty convincingly.
Did you see the documentary Contagion with Gwyneth Paltrow? She was in that documentary.
Yes,
yeah. In fact, she was patient zero, if I remember correctly.
We lost her.
We lost her.
Yeah,
we lost her.
She continued to have. I think she had a bunch of posthumous projects already in the bank.
She did,
because I did see movies with her after that. And she seemed to have created an entire company based on nothing. Goop. After somehow she survived that documentary.
Kind of weird.
I don't know exactly how it works, but
I think, like you said, she had a big catalog of movies she'd already done that were already in the can, and so. But she showed us how these things can happen, right? I mean, you go to dinner sometime in Hong Kong or wherever she was in the beginning there, and you just start spreading it before you even know you've got any symptoms. So it can happen, and it often does.
It does, and it can. And it is I mean, this going way back before COVID, we talked about this on the air a bunch of times, that it is one of the most serious threats to human life. It really is. It's because of the way COVID was handled, and because of the way the government dealt with it and kept your 7-year-old home from school for 4 years. I don't know how we're going to deal with the next one, because I think rightfully so, 75% of the population is going to be like, I am not listening to anything you say this time, right? Like, and I don't. Right. I don't know if that's the right approach either. I think we may go too far on that, because these are real. They can happen. And likely the next one that happens is going to be met, if it happens anytime soon, is going to be met with such resistance. Yeah. Rightfully so. Yeah. I mean, they misled us. They lit their credibility on fire for multiple years, and it's going to be really hard to deal with this in any sensible way.
And they're a little bit like Chicken Little, too, because everything is just a catastrophe. Measles are a catastrophe. I had measles when I was, you probably didn't.
I did
did
not.
You have it? No. I had measles. Most people my age had measles. And in fact, a lot of times your parents would get you together with people with measles, so you get it as a child and not have to wait till you're an adult when it's more serious for you to get.
That's how vaccines started, basically.
Yes.
That's back long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, that might not necessarily be the best approach, but still, it was.
Might not. It might not.
But I mean, obviously that's going around quite a bit lately.
But we treat it much differently now.
Yes. And we should. Like, it is super, super contagious.
It is contagious.
Among the most contagious things.
It's just not among the most deadly, but it is contagious.